All right, everyone. Somebody in the Democratic field showing their ass to Trump, not in the literal sense, although it's Buttigieg, so that would be even funnier. Buttigieg was asked about President Trump's comments. Trump was being interviewed and was asked about the fact that Buttigieg is gay. Of course, he's openly gay, he's in a gay relationship, he's married. And Trump said, well, I don't care. Yeah, it's fine. It's beautiful and wonderful, basically. I don't give a shit who gets married. Buttigieg was asked about it. So basically, you've got a Republican president and he doesn't dislike gay people. He doesn't have a problem with gay marriage. This is, by the way, a pretty big shift in the Republican Party over even like 3 or 4 years ago. You remember, even Romney, when asked about it, he's like, no, I support marriages between a man and a woman. You know, I'm not really too keen on fighting the issue. He waffled a lot. He even waffled recently on being asked about Trump and obstruction of justice and stuff. He's like, well, basically Trump is a scumbag, but I don't necessarily see anything impeachable here. He's trying to have like one foot in each bathtub, in other words. Now, with Buttigieg, he was asked about the fact that Trump is indeed not a homophobe and does not give a fuck. That he supports gay marriage, and I think he did before a lot of the Democrats. I think Trump, even back in the late 90s, was on board, and he says, well, who cares? Basically, I don't have any interest in the conversation, do what you want. Back then, you gotta remember, Obama was a civil union Democrat, a half-asser, and he's supposedly the first gay president, which is funny. And then Hillary Clinton was against, I think, even that, and was basically like, well, why can't they just cohabit? Gays are icky. It's basically, the Democrats were like that until the late 2000s. I wonder how many people even have a long enough memory span to remember when the Democrats were like, they're trying to reassure us, a timid population. No, I'm not saying gays should be married. I'm just saying they should have a state marriage contract. No, it's not the same as, don't worry, please, don't call me like a communist or an atheist or something. Don't say that I hate Jesus just because I, don't want to beat people in the head for, liking the same chromosome, I guess, and stuff like that. It's rather funny. Buttigieg comes out. He says, well, I don't really give a fuck about that. Basically, just being dismissive. Now, if the roles were reversed, if Trump were responding and had a similar response to Buttigieg or any other Democrat, sort of embracing maybe something that he said, like saying that the border should be like defended or taxes lowered or something, it would be considered crass. And the news story would be dismissive, mean Trump, take swipe at person who agrees with him or something like that. Instead, you see Buttigieg getting handled with kid gloves, people saying, oh, well, that makes sense because orange man bad. Yeah, the orange man bad Trump derangement syndrome is so bad that Trump can say he doesn't care about the gay issue. It's settled anyway. SCOTUS has weighed in. Gay marriage is the law of the land. It hasn't caused Satan to come up out of the ocean and start, hemorrhaging blood on the shore. Demons are not flying through the air, screaming, hail Satan and stuff. It just didn't happen. That was the expectation was that we would enter a dark age and that I guess the devil would come. Instead, we're doing pretty well right now, all things considered, aren't we? Our president is like, oh, this is the death knell of the republic. We will have only far-left socialistic Democrats ever again hold that position. Trump, out of nowhere. So is Donald Trump Jesus or something? He doesn't care about the issue. He's not going to take your gay marriage or your abortions away. He doesn't give a fuck. He's not crazy enough for one thing. He can't even get a court to agree to let him fucking defend the border when it's under direct assault. And what makes you think that he's going to try to challenge Roe v. Wade or something? But Buttigieg's response was, it's just really disrespectful. Actually, when you think about it. Extremely disrespectful. It's basically like, well, yeah, okay, well, I don't really give a fuck. I want to talk about policies that affect LGBTQ, Tumblr, XYZ people. It's like, well, you are, basically. You're being asked about Trump's response to the existence of your gay marriage. And you're being dismissive and kind of mean about it. When is mean Buttigieg, gay man bad, going to make its debut, in the tabloid press? When are they going to hold them to the same standards that they try to hold Trump all the time? It's hypocritical BS for the most part. It's kind of obvious which side they're rooting for. I'm wondering when Scott Adams' prediction, if it does, will kick in and they'll start begging for Trump to be reelected because they'll be like, oh shit, if he loses, it's 4 years of boring news. And then we're going to have to go back to being creative when we make up fake news. We'll have to be inventive again instead of just taking weird tweets out of context. He makes their job easy. He's trying to get him addicted to tabloid heroin. He's pretty much succeeded. Be interesting to see if that happens. Buttigieg, though, he doesn't care. So, in other words, according to Buttigieg and the Dems, Trump gets no brownie points for basically being in line with your long-term platform. Or at least your post-late 2000s, maybe 2010 era platform. The Democrats did not take up gay marriage as standard bearers, as the Libertarian Party that did that back in the fucking 70s. Height of the AIDS crisis, the Libertarians are like, yeah, well, people, the government shouldn't be able to discriminate on a state marriage contract, which is exactly the point. Gay marriage was never about the ability of two gay dudes to walk into your church and demand that the priest marry them. It was about the state issuing a property-based contract, essentially. It's medical proxy and property transference. It's for taxation purposes and things like that. Obama's big win was not defending DOMA. And for that, he got the moniker of first gay president. He gets showered in rainbow confetti and waves the flag and all these wonderful things. And Trump, meanwhile, had said as early as the 1990s he didn't give a damn. Never supported, as far as I know, the Defense of Marriage Act to begin with. Doesn't give a fuck. And he's a homophobe. He's a hateful, despicable individual. I'm still waiting for any of these people to point out anything that Trump has ever said in his whole fucking life, at least provable things. I'm not saying, well, some dossier compiled by Clintonians says that he says the N-word regularly or something. I'm not talking about that, or Rosie O'Donnell says he's a pig-headed and stuff like that. I'm talking about, is there any provable instance of Trump, even when prompted by Stern and his crowd, saying anything sexist, racist, or homophobic? And no, sexist. Grab her by the pussy at the locker room talking, and that doesn't really count. No, absolutely not. He was joking around. He might have been drunk at the time. Supposedly he doesn't do that. Maybe he had one too many Adderalls or something. He gets caught on tape producing something in Hollywood where there's a lot of weird talk anyway. But even leaving that out, when has he done anything racist? When has he done anything, especially anything homophobic? Not that the word homophobic really has any meaning anymore. It's been stretched beyond recall. Now it means you don't want people to marry a toaster oven or something. It used to mean something. It's just like being racist used to mean something. It used to mean specifically, yes, you have hateful views. It might transfer over to hateful actions. Now it means you told an edgy joke 10 years ago on Tumblr or something. It doesn't make any sense. When you overstretch these terms, you weaken them. I hope the left realizes that it's basically losing a linguistic war by attempting to overstretch itself. Good riddance, I suppose. The far left is more censorious and authoritarian, not that the new right will be any less so when it takes command over the next half-decade, and it will. It'll do the same thing. But watching Buttigieg's response, my goodness, you won't even give Trump credit for not giving a shit that you're gay. Maybe Trump would rather, they asked him about it. Isn't it fair for them to ask you about his response? What would you rather Trump have said? Oh, yeah, and by the way, I support giving free money to gay people as reparations for years of discrimination. Probably. If he had done that, Buttigieg wouldn't have given him credit either. He would have found some reason to bitch about how that was homophobic. Oh, it's patronizing, wanting to give free money to his gay hairdresser or something like that. Trump should have made a joke about that. He should have made a joke about how he always tips very well when he goes to the parlor or something like that. Really get Buttigieg mad. Should have told a politically incorrect joke, really get him riled up. That's about all. Peace out.